Okay, kitty pies, it's May 17th, 2024, here in beautiful Freeland, Maryland, and it's got a nice day today finally. So this week I took off from work the whole week to concentrate on the final body work on this 60 bug restoration. And I wanted a clear head. I wanted to come in every day and put in a bunch of hours on it because this part here takes a lot of time sanding. I've been sanding pretty much almost all week on this thing, and I'm getting down to the final prime on this. So I'm going to go over what you need to do when you're restoring a car. The basically 4 steps you need. First of all, you need to get a good sandblaster. Sandblast the body all the way down to bare metal. And then after you do that, you want to, this here is epoxy primer. You want to get some primer on it, epoxy primer on it. That's the second step. Now the third step after that is you want to do your body work over top of the epoxy primer. Sand it, of course. Do your body work over it. And then after you get your body work where you think is right, you want to put high build on it, poly primer. I use Evercoat Optix, okay? Been getting a lot of people online saying they don't like this. I love this stuff. It sprays pink and it sands gray. It's got a built-in guide coat. This is the hardener for it. That's the number there. A gallon of this will run you, with the hardener, probably about $200 to $250. It goes a long way. You want to use a 2.0 or 2.2 tip on your gun to spray it. And then you could put, it builds, every time you put a coat on there, it's 6 mils, they say. You have a 45-minute pot life with it. You could sand it in 2 hours, they say. And they say you can go up to 3 coats if you need to. So if you go 3 coats at 6, that's 18 mils. That's a lot. So basically, you could put this on bare metal. It's got rust inhibitors in it. But it's really not a primer. It's I call it a spray-on body filler because it goes on so thick. And what you do is you want to spray over your body work. And then I love this stuff because it gets really kind of hard. It seals your body work in pretty good. Now you can't paint over this. You can't. It's porous. You need to put a final primer over it. And I'm using a 2K urethane primer. I'm using this stuff from Tip Tools here. They say this goes over the high build primer. You can't paint over this or it'll bleed through. You need to cover it with this. And then you need to finish your final primer, that 2K urethane, in 400 to 600 grit, and then you can finish it with paint. Now if you notice here, see how it's pink here? Notice how I sanded it, how it's gray? Now you want to take most of your high build off. You don't want to leave it really thick. You're just using it as like a, to check your body work. So you can see here, I'm high here. Right here, I'm a little low. You can see in the light there, a little low, not bad. You can see here, I'm high. You can see here, there was a factory wave in here. I thought the high build could take it out, but I had to put a skin coated body filler over it. You could put body filler over it too. So now I'm not going to put high build in here because I don't need to. Now this week I've been concentrating on the body work, especially on the sides. The roof on this car was super straight. There was one tiny ding in the whole roof. I got fortunate. Notice here I've been dialing in my gaps here. Now Volkswagen gaps were all over the place, but this I wanted to look really good. So not only do you need to have your gap look good this way, but you need to have your gap look good side to side, in and out. See how that gap looks nice now? That's called panel-to-panel sanding, okay? Notice here how I sanded this into here. This was a little higher than this panel, and I blended them into both together. Look here. Now, I'll teach you how to do this. What you do is, in that gap there, if they're not even totally perfect, you put tape on your quarter panel on the inside the jamb, you put tape on the inside of that jamb of that door, and then you take another piece of tape and you roll it between the two, and then you shut your door, and that'll close this gap up inside here. So when you put the body filler on, it doesn't go all the way into that jamb. And then once you mix your body filler, you're basically just filling that jamb up, okay? And then you're taking another coat here, and then another coat here. And then you take a big spreader and you blend them all in. Now here's the most important step on all this. You don't want to walk away from that. You want to sit there and let it tack up. And just before it gets hard, just before it just starts to get hard, you want to take a razor blade, cut both sides of that jamb out, open that door, pull the tape out, and now you have your jamb. And then here's another important thing. You don't want your body filler to get totally hard. You want to sand it. You're going to sacrifice like 2 or 3 pieces of sandpaper at this point because it's going to gum up the paper. But there'll be a point where this body filler just starts sanding like sort of like cotton. It'll just like file right off really easy. It'll come off really super fast. You'll straighten pretty good. And what's a good thing about that is that'll blend in to these panels without having to coat the whole panel, because it'll feather into the other body work really beautiful without having to cover the whole panel. And then you want to make sure your bottoms are good. So that jamb looks good. Now if you notice here, I've sanded off most of the high build. I ran a tap up in all my bolt holes. Notice here, I had the high build in here. This one area here in the wheelhouse took me 2 hours to sand that. It just takes forever to sand that stuff to do. You want to get every little imperfection out if you can. You're looking for pinholes. You're looking for any bad spots in your body filler. I found down here when I was doing it, right there. See that little pinhole right there? I didn't even see that until I started sanding this. So I got to fix that. I'm checking all my lines, make sure they look good. You want to dial in these lines up here. You can see here the factory imperfection. These are from the factory when they stamp the quarters. Normally on a Volkswagen, there'll be a little here, but the way I paint this, I want to take most of that out. Okay. See here, this is a little high here. It's just the way these doors are. I had some stuff up here where they put the rain gutters in. I had to weld those up, fix those. You want to make sure all these look good, all these lines look good. You want to dial in all these lines here. Okay. Last week I spent doing a body work on this, getting these fenders to fit. Those aftermarket fenders are hard to fit. Make sure this looks good in here. So you can see all the, did a lot. This morning I've been sanding. I just got this whole area here done. Now I'm dialing in this gap here on the right side. Now if you look down the side here, how that looks. That looks like a car that was built today. Because Volkswagen, these caved in here. Caved in a little bit here. They weren't perfect. You can see here, once again, that factory blemish here where it's low here. I'm just going to leave that. I might fix that. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I had some rust pitting in here. That high build fills that up good. So you can see the highs. It gives you a roadmap. Now my body work here, once again, if you look there, found some pinholes after I started sanding because I was dialing in this gap here. Notice how this gap looks. Looks good all the way up. Now if you look down the side there, see how that looks nice and almost perfect. It's a Volkswagen. They're hard to get. These old cars. They didn't think of lines. These here are linear blocks. The best block out there. They're expensive, but they make your panels laser straight. Now you can see here on this panel, this was a little high here. This door was pretty good. This door was pretty straight. I had an imperfection up here. Looked like somebody shut something in the door. It was like a little crease there, but the high build took that out. Okay, I had a low spot on the other door there. It took it out. So after this high build is sand, I'm going to use that 2K urethane. Now this is one of the most important steps of the restoration is this sanding right here, because you're trying to find anything that needs to be corrected now before the final primer. And to make it a lot easier for me to sand, I have my Bluetooth, listen to Sirius XM. That just keeps my mind off of the monotonous sanding. So, like I said, I've been sanding on this for a whole week now. You know, you think you have it straight, and then you start using them linear blocks, and this tells you, okay? So, that's the update. Oh, and I'll show you what I spray my primers with. This is a 3M gun. Hold on a second. This is a 3M plastic gun, okay? This is the older version of it. They have a newer one they came out with in the last couple years. And what they do is they sell interchangeable heads for them. And these heads just snap on right there. This is a 2.0 head I used to spray the high build. And then you could use these. See that bladder? It goes into the carriage there. Just drop that in there. You mix your primer in there. When it's all mixed, you put your cap on there. And these caps have built-in strainers in them, so you don't have to strain it. Put that in there, and then you take your gun when that's on the gun, and you just screw that in, and you're good to go. And then when you're done, this comes out, gets thrown away, and all you do is clean out the head here and clean your tip off. You're done. Always good to have a mixing stick, 4.1, 4-to-1, 2-to-1. So the epoxy primer was a 2-to-1 mix. This high build here was a 4-to-1 mix. And this is a 4-to-1 mix. So it's easy. You just put them in there and mix them. Is there anything else? This here is good to have. Makes cleaning out your gun real fast. You just spray it in there and you're done in 2 seconds. Gone are the days of spending half an hour cleaning your guns and your tips and all that. So in here, I had some pitting in the wheel spare tire area here, just in this area here. So what I did is, after I had epoxy primer on, I sanded that down and I put the high build on there. See how I masked it off? Now I'm going to sand that smooth, and then I'll put primer over it again, and that'll be done. You won't see the pits anymore. So it's little details like that you want to do to make your restoration look good. See how here you want to finish all these jams up nice. You want to finish all your wheel, even though you're not going to see this, but okay, kitty pies, I'll just to show you how that high build works. You don't paint over it. All it is basically a spray-on body filler to check your body work and to dial in all your final last sanding on it. So, oh, and this here, the high build, you want to finish off in 220 or 320. I'm going to finish off in 220, but I start sanding this with 120 because it is a little hard to sand. Sand it with 120, and after you get everything straight, then follow it with 220 or 320 to finish it off a little bit, and then you can follow it up with your 2K urethane final primer. Okay, kitty pies, it's been a whole week. This is Friday now, and I'm just got another day on this. Hopefully I can get this into the final primer stage. Okay, bye.